Hey guys, this is Pasha. You're watching Nightwatch TV. I'm standing next to Drumcell. Tonight he's performing at Droid Behavior event in Medusa Lounge in downtown Los Angeles.
Hi, how you doing?
How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. What's your real name?
My name's MoMo Espinosa.
What influenced you to produce techno music, as in the genre techno in particular?
Well, I mean, I've been really inspired by a lot of early electronic music, stuff from the late 70s and early 80s. A lot of like industrial music, Cabaret Voltaire, Coil, and stuff like that, and got into a lot of industrial music in the late and early 90s as well, you know? And through Los Angeles, I discovered the electronic music scene, and I was exposed to a wide range of electronic music, not only just techno, but I think over the years my taste in music kind of refined. I discovered a lot of really early Detroit techno, and it's something that kind of rang a chord with me and really kind of felt it inside my body more than anything else. So, you know, I've been writing music since I was a kid, but I've always been a kind of a classical musical instrument kind of musician, and slowly progressed to doing electronic music production.
Do you have some DJs that influenced you, or some maybe artists?
Yeah, I mean,
the big,
you know, when I was
names.
Many years ago, Jeff Mills was a really big influence on me. Guys like Basic Channel and a lot of the Auxiliary 88 Detroit guys, and then, you know, I discovered some of Richie Hawtin's early music as Plastic Man when he was releasing the Sheet 1 and music albums, and that was a really big influence on me as well.
Can you tell us about how Droid Behavior come about, how it started, or who's part of it, and what's the future is looking like for Droid Behavior?
Well, I mean, Droid kind of came about together because it was a group of friends of ours that really felt an extremely lack of support in the West Coast in Los Angeles for techno. There was always techno in the city, and there was people that were throwing parties before us, but there was never really a foundation where it kind of really sit together and worked really well. And you know, it started off as mainly a newsletter where we were just kind of informing friends of ours and people that we knew about where the nearest techno events were going on in the city, and slowly progressed to us just realizing that nobody else is really going to make it happen unless we kind of do it ourselves. So we took the initiative and the step to really devote all of our attention, all of our time into trying to help everybody and build a community to establish a good techno scene in Los Angeles.
What's the future looking like for the Droid Behavior team?
Well, I mean, we have no intentions to stop. You know, we've definitely spread our wings a little bit past Los Angeles. I mean, everybody in the crew, Rais, Audio Injection, me, Luis Flores, DJ Hyperactive, we've been traveling quite a bit internationally, playing gigs in Europe. And then we've also, you know, here in Los Angeles, we have our signature series warehouse parties that we call Interface, which is kind of an audio-visual installation with music. And we began to take that Interface series around the world. You know, we're doing Amsterdam ADE Festival this year. We'll be doing Interface in Japan and Tokyo. So, you know, just kind of pushing it a little bit outside of LA and traveling around.
What makes the LA techno scene so special?
The LA techno scene?
Yeah. Compared to Detroit or compared to Europe?
I mean, to be frankly honest with you, the LA techno scene is really inspired by techno scenes from across the world. I mean, we derive our inspiration and the way we developed or helped develop and contributed to the rest of the community by being inspired by cities like Detroit and Chicago. So in essence, we really pull a lot from those cities, but while doing that, it's become kind of like a multicultural melting pot that's really kind of developed its own sound, its own style. Because of the city itself and the architecture of the city, it really kind of, you know, created its own monster. It's become its own thing, and I think that's rather unique to Los Angeles that you don't really find anywhere else in the world.
Okay, so the follow-up question is, What do you think of the EDM evolution that took place in US in the past 5 years? You know that it's just become massive. It created a lot of mainstream like DJs and stuff. What do you think of that? Because the US is kind of commercialized.
To be frankly honest with you, in my perspective, I think the electronic music scene in LA has been around for just as long as it's been in Europe, but it's been in waves. It goes up and down, you know. In the late 80s and early 90s, it was extremely underground. And we went into the whole rave culture. I mean, Los Angeles, New York, the limelight, everything is a good kind of, you know, it's a good kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Way of describing that, you know, because in LA we had a really massive rave scene where there was people playing 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people in 1994, 1995. Towards the end of the 90s, it got really commercial. In the early 2000s, things kind of went back underground again. And I think now with the rise of EDM and dubstep and the kind of rave scene in LA, everything's kind of getting a little bit more commercial again. So it's been up and down. Was that a good answer?
Yeah.
Is that what you were looking for?
We ask every DJ actually that question because I think it's very significant these days to ask this question because it's on a level that nobody ever thought it would be. You know, like $1 million for Daft Punk for 2 hours. I mean, that's intense, man. What were the obstacles to becoming a DJ? Money-wise, or maybe family not supporting? Was there any obstacles you can mention that?
I mean, there is a lot of obstacles. I think everything that you suggested right now plays a pretty big role in all of it. Obviously, there's the financial end of it, and then, you know, there is family as well. I think everybody in my family expected me to go to college and like graduate and become a lawyer or something like that, but I chose music, and I think it was pretty evident from a young age that I always wanted to do music, and that's all I really wanted to do.
The passion shows it, you know, so. Yeah. And your music shows it a lot, man. I'm telling you. Okay, so how did you get involved with the CLR team? Because now you're part of the CLR label.
You know, Chris Leaving had reached out to me, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and really kind of showed his admiration towards some of the work that we were doing and some of the music, and was listening to our productions. I'm not quite sure how he found it, but he did, and you know, he invited me out for some of my very first gigs in Europe to play multiple different clubs around the city, around the country, and you know, our relationship kind of progressed, and it just evolved to us inviting him out to LA to play some of our parties out here to play interface for Droid, and our relationship just kind of developed, and then I just joined the crew, I guess.
It's the podcast you've been making really bomb.
Thank you, man.
If you have a good system, you have to check it out, guys. No joke. So your next album, after listening to the Disturbance single, it's a massive tune. It's a really massive tune, and the video it's very darkish, you know, but it's a special one. I'm sure you guys put a lot of work into that.
Yeah.
So, what can we expect from the Sleep Complex album?
I would expect something that you've never heard me do before. You know, I really kind of let go. I think over the last couple of years, sometimes there tends to be pressure where you feel people have some sort of expectation of what your sound's going to be. And I decided to not really give a shit about that kind of feeling, and just completely let go and do whatever I wanted without having to follow any constrictions or anything like that. So it's a lot of experimentation, a lot of in the studio experimenting with analog synthesizers and drum machines, a lot of hardware. And I really didn't have any particular idea in my mind of how the album was going to turn out or sound in the end, but it just gave birth to something, and it just became what it is.
So which day is it coming out?
It comes out August 30th.
On which label?
It comes on CLR.
CLR. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So will there be more interface parties? And can you tell us when?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interface parties coming up. Most of them are planned for out of the country. We do have Amsterdam planned for ADE Festival. We also have an interface planned for Denver, Colorado for the Great American Techno Festival. You know, we just had our past one recently in Detroit for the Detroit Electronic Music Festival, and I think in the late 2013 in the winter we will be doing one in Japan, in Tokyo as well. And we do have one planned for Los Angeles as well. Obviously November is around our anniversary date, so we will be returning to Los Angeles to do something to celebrate our 11-year anniversary.
Cool. We're looking forward, right guys? The final question is a fun fact question for our viewers. What's your favorite type of alcohol to drink?
I don't drink alcohol.
You don't drink alcohol? Okay, cut that out too.
This is Drumcell, you're watching Night Watch TV.